Imagine you are talking to a tech support guy on a really crackly phone line.
Right, you're just trying to fix a frustrating software glitch on your computer.
Exactly. But as you speak, the severe, highly localized lower back pain you've been dealing with for weeks just suddenly vanishes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the guy on the other end didn't say a single word about healing you. I mean, he's just talking about operating systems.
He's just doing his job.
Right, but what you don't know is that he is actually sitting 3 kilometers up a remote Indian mountain running this secret, highly methodical experiment on your biorhythms.
It honestly sounds like the plot of a science fiction novel. But it is actually a documented reality for the individual we are looking at today.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive. We have curated a truly fascinating, true life journey for you all today.
We really have.
We are exploring the unbelievable, decades-long trajectory of a self-proclaimed hardcore rationalist, a man who dove headfirst into the most rigorous ancient yoga practices imaginable simply to see if the data held up.
Which is such a wild premise. And our sources for this are a rich collection of personal memoir excerpts and essays from this author.
And his life takes some seriously wild turns. I mean, he goes from running a local retail bookstore to teaching digital literacy to tribal children in the mountains to eventually claiming some profoundly unexplainable, mystical, and healing experiences.
But, to be clear up front, our mission here is not to put these specific claims under a microscope to definitively prove or disprove them.
Right.
We aren't acting as debunkers or supernatural validators.
No, not at all. We want to explore the incredible friction between a deeply logical scientific mindset and the completely unexplainable phenomena of deep spiritual practice.
Exactly.
We're going to impartially unpack the sequence of events exactly as the author documented them. Because, whether you lean toward deep skepticism or open belief, the psychological and physical mechanisms at play here are just completely mesmerizing.
They really are.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's look at the very beginning of his journey, an initiative he literally named Project God.
I love that. That name tells you everything you need to know about his cognitive framework, right? He is treating the infinite like a deliverable.
It totally sounds like a tech startup founder trying to put enlightenment on a strict quarterly project management timeline.
Totally.
So the author kicks off his spiritual journey at the age of 17, and he makes it very clear in his writings that he does not come from a family of wandering mystics or spiritual seekers.
Not at all.
He comes from a wealthy, highly ethical, socially and politically active business family. I mean, they are community leaders.
Right. There is absolutely zero history of anyone in his lineage retreating to the mountains to meditate.
None. He describes himself as being entirely grounded in reality. His peers called him a hardcore rationalist. He devoured science books.
But then he encounters this specific text detailing the intense physiological dangers of practicing advanced yoga without the guidance of a proper guru.
Which apparently terrified his rational brain just enough to demand some structure.
Yeah, it freaked him out.
Faced with this vast, unquantifiable spiritual universe, what does a rationalist do? He assigns himself a hard deadline.
A deadline for enlightenment.
Yes. He sets a strict 10-year limit to experience the highest superconsciousness. 10 years, Project God, go.
It's a brilliant coping mechanism, really, for a deeply logical mind facing the terrifying unknown. I mean, he applies corporate metrics to spiritual evolution.
It's so funny.
And what makes this so compelling is that just before his 10-year deadline expires, he finally meets his guru.
And his guru isn't some ethereal ascetic living in a cave. It's Party Ramarao, a retired physics principal from Salur Junior College.
That detail, that cannot be overstated. Out of all the spiritual guides available, he gravitates toward one who spent a career teaching the hard laws of thermodynamics and gravity.
Makes perfect sense for him.
Right. And during their very first meeting, our author flat out challenges this physics principal turned guru with a really provocative question.
Oh, he asks, I am not a man of faith. If God is true, is it possible to experience this without faith? Basically, I don't believe in this, but show me the data. I love that approach.
It's very him. And the guru's answer is fascinating. He says, yes, it is entirely possible. But there is a major mechanical caveat.
Okay, what is it?
Well, the guru explains that for a person of faith, the spiritual journey moves remarkably fast. They bypass the analytical brain and surrender directly to the experience.
Oh, interesting.
But for a rationalist, the progression is agonizingly slow. And why? Because the rationalist brain physically resists surrender. It feels a constant need to log the data.
Right, of course.
A rationalist demands empirical proof for every single step of their yoga practice before allowing their nervous system to take the next one.
So they are basically running peer review on their own soul.
Precisely. I mean, they are simultaneously the experimenter and the experiment.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. That dual awareness prevents you from fully immersing in the state. You can never just float in the water because you are too busy measuring the water's temperature.
That is such a good way to put it. So, following the guru's advice to study the underlying principles of all these practices, the author actually takes action.
He does.
His guru invites him to a branch of the Santi ashram at Lawson's Bay Colony. He undergoes 3 weeks of rigorous, isolated training. And this is where the physical manifestations, like the tangible data he's been waiting for, finally materialize.
And true to form, when his brain encounters a mystical experience, his first instinct is to hunt for a mundane, biological explanation.
Always. So he's lying there at night and he notices these strange rhythmic sounds. His immediate thought is, oh, it's just crickets outside.
The logical answer.
But then the analytical brain kicks in. He pays closer attention. The sounds shift in tone and frequency, and he realizes they aren't acoustic waves traveling through the air in the room. They are entirely internal.
Wow.
He is experiencing what ancient yoga texts call anahata sabda, the inaudible sounds.
What's fascinating here is the mechanics of what is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
His brain is generating auditory stimulus without any external acoustic input. And it doesn't stop at internal acoustics. The sensory input escalates and becomes highly visual.
Yeah, he begins having incredibly vivid dreams, but they aren't, normal abstract dreamscapes.
No.
He observes distinct geometric pyramid-like structures and spiraling flows of energy. They are so complex, so mathematically precise that even when he wakes up, he can draw them and explain their architecture in perfect detail.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the exact moment his logical, materialistic worldview violently collides with his lived physiological experience.
Absolutely.
And that collision is perfectly embodied by an encounter he has with an academic.
Oh, right, the professor. So a professor from Andhra University comes to their camp to give a lecture. He is talking about quantum physics, the breakdown of barriers in Indian philosophy, and he heavily references a famous book, The Tao of Physics.
Naturally, our rationalist author thinks he has found an ally, an academic, a man of science discussing physics and philosophy.
Right, he assumes this guy will get it.
He assumes this man will understand his internal data.
So he approaches the professor after the lecture and shares his meticulously documented visions of the pyramids and the spiraling energy. And the professor completely shuts him down.
Just completely dismisses him.
He gets visibly annoyed, accuses the author of hallucinating, and tells him to stop pretending he's achieved anything just because he read some books. He dismisses the entire lived experience outright.
Which highlights a massive blind spot in how modern academia often categorizes human experience.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, the professor is perfectly comfortable discussing the Tao of physics as a clean, abstract, intellectual theory on a chalkboard.
Right.
But the moment a student presents a lived, embodied manifestation of that theory, it becomes threatening. It crosses the boundary from theoretical physics into methy, subjective mysticism.
The irony is incredible. The academic dismisses him, so the author goes to his guru, the retired physics principal for confirmation.
And the guru completely validates the visions.
Yes. He tells him the geometry is real. He links the pyramid symbols directly to Pythagorean theorems. And he explains the spiraling energy is known in Indian yoga schools as kundalini.
The guru bridges the gap perfectly. He explains the mechanics of Kundalini not as magic, but as latent energy moving up the central nervous system, shifting awareness from autonomic functions to conscious control.
Wow.
He reminds the author that Pythagoras wasn't just a mathematician charting triangles. He was a spiritual master. Mathematics and mysticism were once the exact same discipline of observing reality.
You'd think after unlocking this profound spiritual milestone, the guru would tell him to retreat to a cave and meditate forever.
You really would.
Instead, the guru orders him to go back to the city, start a business, and stay completely quiet about his experiences.
It is a profound test of obedience, which is, a cornerstone of the disciple tradition.
Yeah.
But look at the practical psychology behind it. The guru knows society isn't ready to digest this information. More importantly, the author's own nervous system needs time to ground these high-voltage internal experiences into normal, everyday reality.
Grounding is an understatement. The author takes a massive 20-year detour 2 decades.
Yeah, he essentially places Project God in cold storage.
Exactly. In 1988, he goes home and opens a bookstore. He gets married, specifically noting in his memoirs that the marriage was based on a horoscope match.
Naturally.
His intensive yoga practice plummets from 14 hours a day down to just a single hour. He spends 20 years caught in the everyday retail grind, chasing money, and feeling this agonizing, constant restlessness because he knows exactly what he left behind on that hill.
Imagine the psychological tension of that existence.
I can't even.
You have successfully tuned your brain into this profound internal frequency, the anahata sabda, yet you spend your days managing retail inventory, dealing with difficult customers.
And balancing a cash register.
Right. The dissonance must have been deafening.
But the internal sounds never fade. They ring in the background for 20 years while he sells books. Finally, in 2011, he decides he has fulfilled his societal duties.
He's done his time.
He sells the bookshop to his cousin, considers himself retired, and returns to the Santi ashram in the Thotapalli Hills. And he does not ease back into the practice.
Not at all. The pendulum swings back with incredible force.
He moves into a bachelor's hut on a mountain. He ramps his practice back up to 14, sometimes 16 hours of silent meditation a day, surviving on a single meal.
That's intense.
He pushes his physiological limits so far that he eventually hits an astonishing 144 hours of continuous meditation.
Which is wild. That requires dropping his metabolic rate to a fraction of its normal pace just to survive without water or movement for 6 days.
6 days.
Yet, true to form, his rationalist brain is still ticking. He notes in his writings that his guru's actual target for him was 168 hours.
Always logging the data.
Even in superconsciousness, he is grading himself against a metric.
I love that. But here's where it gets really interesting. While he's up at this ashram doing these extreme metabolic meditations, he takes on a volunteering project.
Okay.
He begins teaching computer skills to local tribal children, Koya kids, whose parents migrated away for work.
And the logistical environment he is teaching in is almost comically hostile to technology.
Oh, it's a nightmare. He's teaching on 10 old computers donated by Infosys. They don't have uninterruptible power supplies, just loud generators. Every time the power fluctuates, the computers crash and corrupt the hardware. There is absolutely no internet. If he needs to make a basic phone call, he has to hike 3 kilometers up a hill just to catch a cellular signal.
He is operating in the ultimate analog environment, tasked with teaching digital literacy.
Right. The previous IT trainers completely failed. They would download boring science and moral videos, hit play, and the kids would immediately tune out and cause chaos.
Obviously.
Our author realizes that lecturing tribal children on corporate morality is useless. They need immediate visual engagement. So he breaks the strict ashram rules.
A highly calculated pedagogical rebellion.
Exactly. He brings in a downloaded copy of the sci-fi movie Avatar.
Oh, that's smart.
Because these are tribal children living in a forest. A visually stunning movie about a vibrant, connected forest tribe bypasses their intellectual filters and completely hooks their limbic systems.
Makes total sense.
He captures their undivided attention, and once he has it, he starts teaching them touch typing. But he pushes it to an unbelievable extreme. He teaches them to type entirely blindfolded.
Wow.
And they aren't typing simple sentences. These blindfolded kids are typing out the incredibly complex Sanskrit Vishnu and Lalita Sahasranamas perfectly without a single error.
See, this is the brilliant hidden layer of his entire methodology. He isn't actually training them to be administrative typists.
Right. I mean, why focus on blindfold typing for kids who don't even have internet access?
The application is entirely neurological.
Yeah.
It is taking ancient yogic concentration, specifically a state called Dharana Siddhi, and disguising it as a modern computer typing class.
Disguising it. That's fascinating.
When you remove the visual feedback loop of the computer screen by blindfolding someone, the brain is forced to rely entirely on internal spatial mapping and kinesthetic memory.
Oh, I see.
He wasn't just teaching keystrokes, He was forcing their neural pathways into a state of hyper-presence. The author notes his guru's lineage traces back to the ancient Nath tradition.
The Nath tradition being famous for mastery of the physical body and extraordinary mental feats, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our author achieved this Dharana Siddhi through his 144-hour meditations. He understood the mechanics of supreme focus, and he successfully translated that ancient, intense mental architecture into a mechanical game that children could master.
That is just incredible. And the local education officials, the DEO, the MEO, they hike up the mountain, see these kids flawlessly typing complex Sanskrit blindfolded, and they are floored.
I bet.
They admit they haven't seen this level of cognitive focus in the most expensive corporate schools in the city.
Because corporate schools focus on memorizing data. He was teaching the underlying mechanics of pure concentration.
Right. So let's follow the logical through line here. Think about what he was actually doing with those kids. He was intensely training his mind to merge with their learning process. When you spend 14 hours a day breaking down the boundary between your mind and your student's mind to teach them pure focus, that ego boundary eventually dissolves, which leads us to the moment where he starts actively absorbing their physical sensations.
And this is where the standard scientific framework we rely on completely disintegrates.
It really does. So he begins training adults in meditation. As he sits with them, he notices something alarming. He is suddenly hit by sharp pangs of hunger when he just ate.
Okay.
He feels deeply exhausted despite a full night's sleep. He begins experiencing highly specific aches and localized pains in his own body.
Initially, he assumes these are his own somatic symptoms, right? But then the rationalist brain engages. He starts running the variables and observing systematically.
Wait, hold on. I can buy that intense boundary-dissolving meditation heightens a person's empathy? Empathy is normal. But you're saying he is literally feeling another person's specific, localized physical pain inside his own nervous system. How does a rationalist brain even process that kind of data without assuming he is simply having a psychological breakdown?
By turning it into a verifiable experiment.
Of course.
After the meditation sessions, he questions the students. Did you sleep poorly last night? Does your lower back ache in this exact spot?
Oh, wow.
The students are shocked because his diagnostics are 100% accurate. He realizes his central nervous system is entirely syncing with their biorhythms. Empathy isn't just an emotion for him anymore. It has become a physical bandwidth.
That is wild. But the true paradigm shift happens next. He realizes that as his body mirrors their pain during the meditation, the student's actual physical pain begins to vanish.
He's absorbing it.
He is mechanically drawing it out of them. And he discovers he doesn't even need to be in the same room. He can execute this biorhythmic sync over the phone.
A phone he has to hike 3 kilometers up a hill just to connect to.
Exactly. He will be on a crackly connection with the student, wide awake, discussing software troubleshooting. And during the conversation, the student suddenly realizes their severe anxiety or chronic joint pain has entirely evaporated.
And how does our rationalist handle this newfound capacity? He treats it like a double-blind study. He keeps it a complete secret.
He absolutely refuses to tell the students what he is doing. He explicitly writes that he needed to rule out post-hypnotic suggestion or the placebo effect.
That is such a scientist move.
Right. If he tells them he is healing them, their brains might just trick their bodies into feeling better. So he acts like it's a routine tech support call while secretly running interventions on their ailments.
He even constructs control groups.
He does.
Yeah. To understand why his nervous system syncs rapidly with some students and slowly with others, he turns to astrological charts.
Interesting.
He uses astrology not as mysticism, but as an empirical data framework. He discovers that people who share his asterism, his lagna, or his sun sign have a much stronger, faster biorhythmic sync.
And a controlled lab environment isn't enough for him either. He takes this out into the chaotic real world.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be walking down the aisle in a supermarket, and suddenly he is gripped by a terrifying squeeze in his own chest. He looks over, sees an elderly man standing nearby, walks right up to him and asks, "Excuse me, are you currently taking medication for a heart condition?"
And the diagnosis is consistently confirmed.
Always. Kidney stones, severe colds, spondylitis, sciatica. He walks past total strangers, experiences their specific medical conditions firing in his own nervous system, and confronts them with flawless diagnostic accuracy.
And at this point, he transitions from mere diagnosis to active remote intervention.
Right, let me get this straight. We have a guy who hacked tribal kids' brains with sci-fi movies, who diagnosed these kidney stones in the grocery store aisle, and now he's treating severe medical conditions over a spotty 2G phone connection.
Pretty much.
He utilizes a specific method his guru taught him years prior, called the Ashwamedha Yoga Healing Method. He takes on incredibly severe cases completely remotely. We are talking about muscular neuron disorder, labyrinthitis. He even treats people trapped in long-term comas.
It's unbelievable.
And the interventions are so effective that established famous local doctors, some of whom actually attended his computer classes, begin officially referring their hopeless terminal medical cases to him. So what does this all mean for his original Project God deadline?
Well, it means he found the ultimate application of his data. Knowledge is only truly valuable when it is deeply understood and practically applied.
Yeah.
He didn't just climb a mountain to hoard supernatural experiences for his own ego. He systematically tested the phenomena, verified the mechanics through his own rigorous internal logic, and then immediately weaponized that knowledge to alleviate human suffering.
And his own physiology completely rewires itself to support this massive energy output. His biological need for sleep drops to just 4 hours a night. His hunger significantly decreases. His daily energy levels skyrocket. And honoring a promise he made to his physics guru decades ago, he absolutely refuses to charge a single rupee for this.
That's amazing.
His fee, per his guru's instruction, is simply requiring the patients to learn and practice yoga themselves. He dedicates his life to providing these life-changing interventions completely free of charge.
It is a breathtaking synthesis, really. He successfully merged the empirical, data-driven rigor of a scientist with the boundless compassion and unexplainable mechanics of an ancient mystic.
It really forces you to look at the boundaries of your own reality differently. To you listening right now, whether you are prepping for a highly logical corporate meeting, whether your daily life is deeply rooted in the hard sciences, or whether you are simply endlessly curious about the hidden capacities of the human mind, this journey asks a profound question.
It definitely does.
It challenges us to reconsider where we draw the line in the sand. What phenomena do we boldly classify as impossible versus what is simply, for the moment, undocumented?
We are remarkably quick to dismiss mechanics we cannot immediately measure with our current instruments.
So true. And I want to leave you with a brand new thread to pull on. Something to mull over on your commute or while you're walking the dog. Think about the author's proven ability to remotely sense biorhythms.
Right.
His capacity to feel the anxiety and physical pains of another human being just by syncing with their voice over a phone line.
The whole concept of remote syncing across human physiology.
Yeah. If human nervous systems are truly capable of transmitting unseen data across vast distances, if it's mechanically possible to literally absorb the physical weight of someone else's anxiety or pain through a simple conversation, what does that mean for our modern, hyper-connected world?
The implications are staggering, honestly.
Are we unknowingly absorbing the physical and emotional biorhythms of every single person we text, email, or call every single day without even realizing we are acting as receivers?
It makes you wonder.
When you feel suddenly crushed by exhaustion after an hour-long Zoom call, is it simply screen fatigue, or are your neural pathways actually absorbing the collective invisible weight of every single person on the other end of that connection? Food for thought.